wouldn't it be cool if Ram built and sold a truck like this, a little mid-sizer, in the US?
By like this, you mean something more compact and more affordable than the current cheapest Ram pickup truck you can get, which is over $40,000.
Exactly. I think it would be kind of cool. So we got some images from a viewer, Jorge, where he actually saw one of the newest Ram. It's called the Ram 1200, which is a mid-size truck, mid-size pickup truck in Mexico. And it actually has a lot of cool features that I think we need because it's also more affordable.
It seems even a little bit more compact than the majority of mid-sized trucks that we have here in the States. Obviously, we're not up in person with this vehicle, so we can't fully gauge it, but it is fairly compact. And this one's got a flatbed on it because some of these Ram 1200s come as chassis cabs.
Yeah, which is really sweet. I mean, the smallest and the cheapest and most affordable pickup we have in the US is the Ford Maverick. And you recently did a podcast where you guys discussed this on Carish podcast. And that was what, about $28,000 or $29,000 for a Maverick these days.
Including destination?
Including destination.
Even the starting price gets up there. Mid to high $20,000 range, which especially compared to when the Maverick first came out, the MSRP, admittedly not including destination, was just under $20,000. So you used to be able to get a Maverick for very little money, relatively speaking, and especially relative to today, where everything has gotten much pricier.
Exactly, but this truck looks really modern, right? Look at this interior.
Look at that squared off bottom of the steering wheel.
Yeah, what is up with that?
It looks, it doesn't look like a luxury wheel though. Well, it looks pretty plastic.
No, but this is a basic truck.
Yeah,
but look, it has 1, 2, 3 pedals. It's got a manual transmission.
Yeah, you can see the shifter in that photo.
Boom!
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's got a manual transmission. It's a 2-door. It has 3 seat belts, so 3 people can ride in this. It's got all the latest, not latest, but kind of cool features. I mean, it's got USB-A ports, it's got traction control, it's got hill descent control, it's got lock-on-lock, and it's very simple climate control system.
It is a very simple truck. No surprise, this is going to be a much more utilitarian, commercial kind of configuration. This is obviously not designed to be a luxury truck. We got a really small screen, it looks like, up there on the dash. About as small as I think you can get a screen to be inside of a truck. Although, admittedly, for all of the hard plastics, it looks like they use some pretty nice materials on the shifter itself.
Because you'll be using it frequently, to shift those 6 gears.
It looks like it's gloss black, so it's probably going to be a little smudged, a little oily.
Piano black? This is the only place where they put piano black. All right, so what is going on here? So Ram's been selling a 1200, this is called the 1200, pickup in Mexico for about 2 years in this latest iteration. And it's actually, this one has a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. We have a picture from Jorge. So it's got modern powertrain. But dude, this truck, we looked this up, is built in China.
Yeah, so that's the reason that we don't have this here in the States. One of the reasons.
One of the reasons, yeah.
You're not going to be able to bring it here and sell it, practically speaking, if it's a truck that's manufactured in China, because this vehicle is a shared platform, shared machine with actually a few other vehicles. If you do some sleuthing online, you'll find that the Ram 1200 is based on the Peugeot Landtrek, and the Landtrek is based on this truck. So it is manufactured in China. Yeah,
so, and it's like you said, it's kind of a rebadging or kind of a modification of...
It's like a rebadge of a rebadge.
Rebadge of a rebadge. But a lot of manufacturers do this actually, just because the economy of scale, right?
For sure.
They could save some money, they can build them around the world in different countries. For example, Ram is introducing the ProMaster City van, right? Really soon in the US. But that's also built in Turkey based on some of the other Peugeot vans and some of the other vans that are available over there. So that's kind of how manufacturers try to save some money with economy of scale.
Absolutely.
And this is what their site looks like. This is kind of the what some of the versions of the Ram 1200 look like.
Yeah, that's one very similar to what we were just looking at photos of, chassis cab.
Yeah, and they have, of course, you can put different types of beds on it, different bodies. These have pretty crazy payload numbers.
Yeah.
What,
Should be
1,300
around-
kilograms?
Around 3,000 pounds.
Yeah, because, well, that's kind of odd because they also have heavy-duty Ram pickup trucks. So why would they have a small truck that kind of steps onto the payload numbers of the bigger one?
But there's times when you want a truck that's got a more compact footprint. It's something that happens a lot with trucks that other markets get that we don't get here in the States, is for that exact reason. They don't want to cannibalize sales of their bigger trucks. So one of the reasons that we don't get the Super Duty or whatever heavy duty version of the Ranger.
Yeah, it's called Ranger Super Duty. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool truck. It's diesel. It's got lockers. The reason that we don't get it is Ford is concerned that that would cannibalize F-150 sales.
And I think with good reason, you know.
Yeah,
they want to
at the
sell a
same
lot of F-150 Tremors, right? And Raptors.
Yeah,
So anyways,
but they could sell a lot of Rangers instead.
they could, or both.
Yeah,
How about that?
So I kind of wish they would bring them here.
I guess I'm not an economist, so I'm not exactly sure. But so look, they have some Bighorn versions. They have crew cab versions. They have a Laramie, which is kind of one of the nicest one. But most importantly, if you look at some of these prices, for example, if you look at the Tradesman chassis, it starts at 402,000
Not U.S. dollars.
pesos.
Yes.
Yes. So if you can convert that number into dollars, it will be around $23,300.
Which is affordable, again, by today's standard, but the fact that a few years ago you could get a Maverick, admittedly, front-wheel drive, and
But with four
very
doors.
simple. But four-door
Yeah.
and hybrid, good fuel economy, used to be MSRP starting under $20,000. Even trucks like these in other markets, I'm not saying that that's expensive by today's standard, that is relatively affordable, but even that is a decent chunk of change.
Yeah, but this has only two doors and no bed.
I know.
So you have to put your own bed on top of it. So even though this is built in China, it's built very economically, this still could be a higher price, right? If you add features to it, if you add four-wheel drive, for example, if you add some other stuff.
Sure, because some of the Laramie and nicer trims of that 1200
Let's look.
Around 600,000, so about 50% more expensive.
So that would be
30 something.
30, 35. And once again, now you're in the same price range as like a Chevy Colorado would be, right? Or some other truck in our market. So this is quite interesting. Yeah.
Now, we're not obviously going to get this specific truck here in the States, but Ram is bringing a mid-sized truck. They've said as much. The Dakota is going to be coming back at some point, which will be really nice because at the moment, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, the least expensive Ram truck you can get in the States now is a very basic Ram 1500. And even the most basic Ram 1500,
This guy.
not including destination, has an MSRP starting at $42,000.
Yeah. So Ram,
Two-wheel drive.
and it's a quad cab. It's got a V6, not a V8, right? So that's kind of where it starts. And so I think Ram really needs something in the $30,000 range.
And they've said as much as well. Ram has talked about wanting to bring more affordable products to the market. There's a lot of different manufacturers that are saying that exact same thing, which so long as they stick to that and actually do it, would be fantastic.
Yeah, so, really cool to see. I mean, it's nice to go around the world and actually see vehicles that we don't get. And a lot of the time, there's a reason why we don't get those. But still, this could be really useful.
And if anybody out there has one of these,
Yes.
and they're willing to drive it into the States, up to Colorado,
For us to check out.
to let Andre do an Ike, that would be pretty cool.
Oh, not even a night. Maybe just a first drive.
Yeah.
That'd be really sweet. Well, anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next video. Check out oldtfl.com because we have a lot of videos coming out this week, which are really cool.
Tons of cool stuff.